The video you're watching is inspired by a YouTube video that became popular 2 or 3 times, but suffered from some search engine issues. We'll do that first. The original video was a January 6, 2011 upload on YouTube and other websites that had a commonish name that hid it from search engine optimization and only peaked in 2023 July. It was called The American Dream Film Film Full Length. That name is the name of dozens of works. Google Trends link directly below. Next, a January 11th, a few days later, 2011 re-upload on a random YouTube channel retitled it in a more unique way, and it peaked February 2014. The Collapse of the American Dream Explained in Animation, 2011 is what I'm going to call my video, along with other parts of this. And, of course, the Google Trends. The only contact or email provided was to someone at thebulletwire.com, and this led to a phone number, which I'm going to list below. I guess that's not a problem. This is publicly posted information off of a website. Both websites died because their 10-year domain name reserving capability and the website hosting basically a static set of pages that looped back to each other to give credence, I guess, died. You can set up something to where it time bombs at 10 years because you pay for that long of a time, and that's fine. What is this? It's a chunk of propaganda for libertarians, among other people. Gold standard types, that kind of stuff. The American Dream is a term that was coined and popularized in 1931 during the Great Depression and was for referring to this dream of democracy, liberty, and equity, regardless of the fortuitous circumstances of birth or position, a dream of social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain to the fullest stature of which they are innately capable, and be recognized by others for what they are, and not a dream of motor cars and high wages. And then, of course, it bent or devolved into upward mobility and material wealth and materialism. And the idea started before that and is distorted. I'll do a video on the current American dream as it was introduced to me because I'm in my 50s. I'm not an ideal version of it, but I am in that age range of a transition between literally being 10 years older, I would have maybe succeeded, and then not succeeded, depending, as evidenced by 10-year gaps between my birth and other relatives in my family. Tad Lumpkin and Harold Uhl, 2011 American Dream website, they're the authors for it, had right-wing and libertarians as good guys. Listings like think tanks, publications, and media personalities. For instance, from Drudge Report to Alex Jones. Aged like milk. So, now, what they did in this is literally every exhausting, stupid, debunked trope physically possible, introduced exactly the way you need to knead the brain. The Rothschild name is really derived from the German words zum rothen Schild, literally to the red shield. But Rothschild can be the red shield or just red shield. And if you really want to bastardize it only, that does really lend itself to a pop culture out of context explanation for an event or situation that asserts the existence of a conspiracy that must have powerful and sinister groups control the world's whatever, wealth, financial institutions, the Federal Reserve, and JFK being removed. And that appeals to people who are willing to spend upwards of a half hour to an hour watching a cartoon, an infomercial. And the product is selling you and enslaving you. The original January 6, 2011 upload with its commonish name, etc., never got any attention in the period of time it would have for their obvious donate to me Patreon thing to kick in. They were also marketing it in 2010, about November forward. They were not finished with making it. And it was done through some sort of video player on their website that kind of made it able to be played, but there is no true original archive copy of it. We only have the most recent high popularity one you'll find when you look it up under the name I'm putting this video under, and also the original one that had, again, a name that is not going to get you anywhere. So I'm going to make a video literally named the same as the unimaginative name to do this as well. So this will be the one with the more popular name that isn't really the author original, etc. So what is this video about? The American Dream. Let's get this straight. I'm going to be linking below to my favorite knuckleheads on Reddit and a couple other websites that aren't necessarily knuckleheads. I affectionately call them knuckleheads. That question the video, the source, everything, and then explain a debunking of it. It's actually been covered a couple of times. Let's get this out of the way. Yes, it blames a specific subgroup of the population on the planet for all your woes and encourages you, very obviously, to go off and start wars. Now, that's not a misinterpretation. It's not symbolic in the video. It's quite literally encouraging violence. The original one, by author's request, was age limited because they got threatened because, yes, towards the end of the video, they literally advocate for, quote, direct action, which I highly criticize with any group. You're using that as a code word for intimidation, threats, RICO Act kind of shit. Don't do this. But anyway, besides blaming that one group we're not allowed to mention because we get flagged or restricted or demonetized or, in my case, deranked. Can't mention the persons who are being attacked and say don't do that because then I'm accused of attacking them. Seriously, YouTube, knock this shit off. Tell us overtly we're allowed to say anything we want to. And just say, yeah, we're not going to take the video down, we're not going to punish you, but it has to be restricted to people who are willing to sign in and say, I'm accepting that this is going to be offensive, and then I'm okay with being offended because it's part of being a goddamn grown-up. But anyway, let's move on. Well, now I'm flagged. Yeah, it's an infomercial in cartoon form that kneads your brain slowly towards the crescendo of literally start a world war. No uncertain terms, that's really what's going on here. So what's wrong with it? Number one, it misrepresents what the Federal Reserve is. It misrepresents what economics is, even the gold standard. Let's do a couple of them really quickly. JFK and the silver certificate thing. This was an interim thing put together so that they're literally explaining in the video the opposite of what Kennedy attempted to do as being the reason he was removed. How many other things? The Federal Reserve doesn't work that way. No, it's not a private institution, nor is it truly public. Every government on the planet will eventually hire a contractor or a subsystem or even set up a business, cookie cutter it, and then release it as a, quote, private entity. Okay. If you are unwilling to understand the legal definition and the practical definition for a public or private property, business, entity, organization, or government component, yes, there are private government components. If you won't learn what these mean and what it really means in the law or in the practicality and liability thing, you're not going to know what's going on here. And I think that's encouraged in people. This kind of crap proliferates because people won't fucking look shit up. Just plain English. But anyway, yes, some components of the U.S. federal government will use a private entity to run it. Ironically, the gold standard libertarian types and conservatives are all about privatizing every single chunk of the government they can, mostly for self-benefit. But when you mention it's done by the government, they flip their shit. Yes, some of the quotes in here are accurate. Some of the quotes are taken out of context, including a speech by JFK that isn't about what they're presenting it as. If they're willing to misrepresent things you should have looked up, they're lying. The website showed very few, if any, re-updates, except them putting up their own YouTube channel, but not putting up the entire video, because they were still trying to sell DVDs to get some money out of it. It's a movie. They're trying to make money off of it. That should be basic and obvious. What's wrong with that? Nothing, except that's you know, I don't think they made much money on it. But anyway, let's move on. Aside from that, yep, somebody brought it up. The Rothschilds. Yes, saying that name, it's a killing word. My channel's killed. Not so secretly claiming they're part of that group that shall remain nameless, that people constantly decide is the enemy. The Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, whatever group you want, they don't actually run all this shit, because they quite literally don't. We're done with it. The next one is the claim that, a debunked claim by another blogger explaining and debunking this, that when the economy screws up and prices go up, so do your wages. Only if you're producing product that are sold with that inflated price can your income increase as an ordinary worker. Back when the movie came out, yes, that's not that long ago, a little over a decade, the economy actually would show that if prices went up and sustained themselves as inflated prices, that would cause an inflow that did actually trickle down at one time to workers. It doesn't anymore. It really does not. But other than that one fact that is no longer existent, it died with the American dream, you could say. Yeah, the debunkings are good. They're accurate. They are actually very, very good in some cases. But let's get on with the basics of it. Does a family or certain families run the planet? Very likely. Or at least they'd like to. Are those groups malicious? You'd have to show that they were doing something malicious. The way they're painted in the cartoon is a self-destructive mess, which is addressed in the cartoon and then poo-pooed away. Everything they're describing, if it was happening the way they're saying, would cause the Rothschilds and all the other groups to cave in on themselves completely. They also bring up a debt in Britain. I'll have a link below to that, but that debt was in the process of being paid just a couple of years after this video came out. Basically, you throw a lot of crap into a cartoon, and if any of it gets debunked, everyone says, well, the rest of it's okay, except when you look at it, most of it's either literally a lie about JFK, or a lie about how the government works, or a lie about the difference between public and private, or a lie, not a mistake, a lie, or a misinterpretation of something happening in Britain that eventually resolved itself partially. It's an oversimplification to the point of being literally a cartoonish version of it that is not helpful. And now I'm going to do the last part of the video here. It's every time you look up libertarians or literally anything, sovereign citizens, any group of people that takes an extremist view on things and tries to sugarcoat their bullshit. Yes, I was roped into this stuff at one time, like a lot of you. When you actually dig into it, they get really angry that you're no longer part of the group now because you've outed yourself as an infiltrator by asking them, where did you get these quotes from? Thomas Jefferson never said that. Suddenly you're the enemy. Don't look behind the curtain. It didn't help that this was endorsing Alex Jones, etc. The point I'm making here is, what is the final take? I'm just going to cut to the chase. It's an infomercial propaganda thing, and that's it. It's very entertaining, and it's listed as a comedy, which it's not. But other than that, it's designed as a way to massage your brain into accepting ideas that are just simply not real. They're counter-reality. Counterfactual. Next, I recommend studying both versions, I'm not kidding, to find out how to armor your mind against bullshit. And if a bunch of people watch this video, which I don't think is going to happen, if you want an example of how you'd have to do the American dream as I was taught it, subjectively, I can explain how it can be done but I haven't been able to do it, so I don't think it'll work even now. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You all will need it.